Okay, well, we are here. We're back with another episode of the Create Together podcast. I'm Nick Brengle, and as always, the beautiful Caleb Hargett across from me. Before we get this episode rolling and going and talking about all the crazy stuff that we do, just kind of want to front end all the information about this podcast and wanting you, if you're watching on YouTube right now or listening in your car, wherever, take a moment, pause this podcast, leave a review on iTunes or subscribe to our YouTube channel and just help continue the growth of what we're doing here, because we are super excited every single time we hit record and we're doing these podcasts, and we're wanting to know what, if at all, like if you're liking these. So reach out to us on social media, leave comments, let us know what you want to hear or see or whatever. Just, we want to know what kind of love or hate is out there. So go for that.
Get at us.
Yes. And last week we announced this little contest we're doing with the Pelican case. That is still going on. So enter into that right now. Do it. Get on it. Okay. That's enough of that. Let's get into the episode. So I have one of my favorite artists is Jackson Pollock. A lot of people know who he is. He is the abstract paint, sort of the godfather of abstract expressionist art. And I have one of my favorite quotes from him is, "Painting is self-discovery. Every good artist paints what he or she is." And, Jackson Pollock's work originally, a lot of people don't know, it started as he painted people and animals and landscapes, just like every other artist probably was doing back in his time, which I don't know, was like 19 something. Yeah,
those were hot topics back then.
Yeah. And then I don't know if he had like some kind of an awakening. I don't know what happened, but he literally just started throwing paint at these massive canvases, and either you look at it and you see something in it, or you understand something about it, or you look at it and you just say, that is a bunch of paint splattered onto the wall. Anyway, I'm trying to correlate that to what we're going to kind of get into today. And that is, what Caleb and I do as filmmakers, as creatives, and a lot of you watching and listening doing the same things or pursuing that, always coming to the questions, whether it's to our own conscious or whatnot, about why it is that we're filmmakers, or why someone is a painter or a photographer. Why are they pursuing what they're doing? And there's so many facets and so many answers to that question, but we want to talk a little bit about that. And so I guess I'm going to ask Caleb, why we know we're going to delve into our stories and different things like that to make it sound like it's something that is legitimate here, but that's not so abstract. But why do you do what you do? Why filmmaking? Why video? And more so on the ethereal sense, and the more deep thinking sense of why you do what we do. Not, I just love the camera and it's cool and that's what we do, but really why it is why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah. So for me, like, filmmaking, why I've chose it. So I think it really all starts with like skateboarding. Me coming from a skateboarding field, like skateboarding, you basically, that whole sport it consists of, repeat, try, fail, and repeat again over and over
experimenting
and over and visualizing in your head what things look like, and then keep,
and having no fear. You really have to have no fear in skateboarding, or else you're not going to progress, period. Like, you're not going to.
Yeah. Or just be willing to, it's like not fear, but just being like, if I screw up, this is going to suck, but I have another try after this.
Right.
So going to that, I think, skateboarding really it's just like a part of me now. Like, I think I did it so long when I was so young, and it just really changed literally so much of just the way I think my mind functions, like the way I process things and the way I take in things, and the things that, just like that eye that I look for, that attention to detail for those types of things, like, has translated for me straight into filmmaking. Like, now that I'm older and, I've moved a little bit on from skating, I still skate, but definitely not what I used to be. But it's the same process. Like, it's so familiar to me like I've basically been filmmaking, it feels like my whole life because, well, I haven't been skating my whole life, but through all those years of skating too, it's like I was basically, same things are being exercised in my head. And yeah, I mean, it's that, again, like that attention to detail, because that's the thing with skating, like you learn tricks, but it's not about just learning the tricks. It's about finessing those tricks to the point that they like look good. And that so it's not about just being consistent, it's about consistently looking good, you know? And that's the same thing with filmmaking. You know, what makes a good filmmaker is not that you can do that funny in-camera transition. It's that you actually know how to manipulate that in-camera transition to make it look good no matter what you do it on.
Right.
The same thing with, you know, I go back with tricks. It's like, you don't want to just have the trick on flat ground good. You want to be able to do that trick down a set of stairs that good, over, you know, off of a ramp that good, or something like that. So you want to be able to, make it look good in a bunch of different scenarios or scenes, you know?
Right. And we've talked about how like skateboarding and filmmaking, they almost come hand in hand. I mean, there's just such a huge community of people that have come out of skateboarding that they're not, who knows? I'm sure that there's big film directors that are making regular movies nowadays that were probably skateboarders back in the 90s, the 80s. I'm sure there's some that
Spike Jones, man.
Well, Spike Jones is a huge one, yeah. And I'm sure there's others, you know. And so I want to say, like, I can get so deep and ridiculous with my answers to this question, because the easy answer always is it's what I know, it's what I love, it's what I want, it's just what I want to do. I think I'm an artist and this is my art or whatnot. But even deeper than that, peeling back the layers and really, I think having conversations with myself or my wife and really trying to answer the deeper questions as to why I pursue what I pursue. And I think it does come back to the art itself, and that there's something inside of me that was always pursuing some form of getting whatever's in my head out somehow. And yes, it's for the audience, for people, for whoever, but more so it's for me to get it out of my head, and I want to see it. I mean, I love uploading YouTube videos. I love working with clients. I love doing this.
Yeah.
But I love it. Like, I love watching my own stuff, even, you know, years looking at old footage or old videos, and not only seeing where you came from, but also to just see, you know, where you were at that time in your life. That's another big thing for me, is I can look back at certain pieces of work and know, like, this was a certain time in my life, or, you know, what was happening. But, why I do it is not, you know, it's clearly, it's not for the money, and it's not for the satisfaction of, you know, one day being a Steven Spielberg. That, you know, if those things happen, if both those things happen, that's freaking amazing. That would be awesome. But my goal is to literally just live a life that is full to me, to just be a real person, be free, be alive, be awake, and actually take in this, you know, 80, 90 years maybe that I'll get here on this planet. And if I have to use some of those talents and gifts to put some food on the table, that's great. But more importantly, I want to do things like this, and I want to produce all kinds of content that makes me feel good. But hopefully, if there's just that one other person out there that sees it and says, I'm going to pursue whatever it is. It might not be filmmaking. I want to do something and help somebody think that, whatever, I want to be a professional ballerina. I have no idea. So go for it. Like, go for it. And, but understand the deep rooted, get to know yourself. And we've talked about this a lot off the podcast, just having conversations of get to know yourself and really get to know yourself, and then jump back into whatever that passion is. Because if you go into it not really knowing who you are, then you'll delineate from whatever you thought you were going to get to.
You're waiting for somebody else to point you in a direction when you do that.
Exactly. And also not you know,
something to point you in a direction. Whereas like,
exactly. Like I definitely had those moments in my life from either parents probably telling me certain things, or friends, or someone I worked with, a boss, or even just myself, doubting myself, whether it was through the times in my life where I wasn't picking up a camera but I was playing music and singing and playing solo shows. And I thought maybe this was something I was going to do, but it obviously wasn't, because I always had the itch, and I do every single day, just like you do, the itch to do something. And I think that's the constant, our journey of life is trying to constantly itch that itch that's never going to go away, though. It will never go away. And if it does, then you're probably doing the wrong thing.
Yeah. And it was beautifully put, like how you were talking about, you know, it's not so much the money. It's like, this makes you feel like that rich fulfillment, you know, and that's rich
exactly
in life for you, you know? Because I mean, that's like what a true artist is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's a gift for other people, and you get that the fulfillment that you're getting is giving somebody something. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Because we can sit back and, you know, we have conversations with people that isn't just about our work, but it could be about, let's say, a Jackson Pollock painting, or they don't. There's a lot of people that they're not wrong. They just can't. Just like I can't understand why somebody would want to be a brain surgeon, they can't understand why I would want to make YouTube videos. You know, that we're never going to understand each other probably, but that is the beauty of this world, is that we are we are definitely very lucky to live, you know, in a place where not DC, but just, you know, in a place like America, where we are definitely given the abilities around us to lift ourselves up and pursue like the things that we want to. But yeah. So another thing would be talking about why we do what we do and who we are and all of that. How have you seen over the years the trend and the flow of who Caleb has become as an artist? Where have you seen the changes in that, you know, up until this point? You know, maybe 10 years ago, we wouldn't have thought we'd be sitting here doing this podcast, but just kind of the flow of who you've become, and sort of, maybe like tools or resources, or just things that you can give to other people that helped you get to where we are now, that kind of a thing.
So that's kind of,
I think that's a good point. I think that's just a good thing to bring up, is like things that have helped us progress.
Oh, definitely. So that's the thing. So video was always, you know, with skating, it was always alongside, like there was filmmaking going on alongside my skating all the time. Me and my friends, we used to make videos, skate videos and stuff for fun, and put on YouTube so that we could put them on our MySpace. And you know what I mean? Because it was just fun just to basically show what I can do.
Right.
But it wasn't so much about the video quality back then. You know, it's literally just,
exactly.
I'm a skater.
I was doing the same thing, and I literally can't believe the quality now. Just didn't care at all. That didn't matter. Yeah.
And then, so like, that's been going on forever. But again, I started getting better at skating, and then with the tricks and stuff, and you getting that like fine-tuned, like trained eye to start nitpicking stuff. Mm-hmm. So again, I think I started kind of doing that period, like through a lot of stuff. Any creative thing, like I've been super honed in to just like really being like, that's what makes that good. That's what makes that good. Again, like it's like trained my way of thinking, period. So, and I was, painting a print major in school. Again, you know, not to go off on a crazy tangent, but I was going to say this earlier. Yeah. Like that goes into, if it wasn't for money, like if things are for money, being an artist, like people would be like, well, that's the one you should have went for, Caleb. You went to school for that.
Right.
But I'm still painting every day. Like, so that's why I'm always like, I guess on paper, you think that makes sense. But in my head, I'm applying everything I've learned. And
of course,
as far as any sort of art into this, because skating is an art too. Mm-hmm. To me, filmmaking is the best way I can apply all of those things that I can. So it's a no-brainer that this is what I would do.
Right.
It's a little hard to explain that to people.
No, it is, because it's such an intangible thought. Like you either just get it or you don't, pretty much. Yeah. Like, I can understand that, trying to explain that to somebody. Like, I don't care if I lived in a box and like wore the same clothes for the rest of my life, as long as I have my computer, my camera, and a couple of other accessories. I'm just going to make stuff. Yeah.
But then, because it's like the same type of thing, like, so with skate culture and stuff like that, you want to skate with friends, you find kids that you like that skate, and skating differentiates you. Like, it doesn't matter if you come from some really wealthy family or some, a not so privileged family. Skating is like,
it's across
it levels
the board.
that out.
Yep,
and
definitely.
you start to learn to be like, you are starting to appreciate each other's art.
Right.
Like how they skate, what they like to skate, and all that kind of stuff, but you're not judging them per se.
Right.
And yet that trains me to look, you just start looking past all the BS, like the classism or whatever it's called, like
right.
system of what you're supposed to just fall into and be with your little group, like that gets knocked out. So then that helped me so easily to transition when I was, becoming a true like artist, growing up as a teenager and stuff, and starting to paint and doing, all those different things that I done. It's becoming more serious. It was so easy for me to make friends and do that same thing. Like I lost that judgmental bone, I guess, it's still there, and you can't, like, everyone, I think there's some people, I think it's funny when they say like, I don't see, like, the lines are blurred for me when it comes to like who's better, who's this, who's that.
Right. Well, they're lying.
We do all notice those things.
Yeah.
It's whether we choose to act on them or have actual thoughts about it.
Exactly.
That's kind of the thing.
If you let it affect what you're doing, then that's not good. Yeah.
Because also, like, we should all be celebrating each other's differences.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing to me, is literally, do you.
Like, I'm happy that you're different than me.
Right.
You get what I mean? And like,
that way.
but that's the thing. This whole skating art, like, all that kind of stuff, having those friend groups and learning that at a younger age, it allows me to collaborate with people like you, and I don't actually, like, I'm calling, we throw that term around, collaboration. It's starting to become one of those business terms of just like collaborate. And that's the only reason I'm using it. But again, I've been doing this forever, and I never once was like, I'm collaborating.
Right. Yeah.
Until now it's like, it's a term, but like, it's just, it's like, if you're a true artist, I feel like that too. You're just going to naturally want to create with people and find the people that have the same taste as you.
Exactly.
And that's what differentiates it,
Right.
I think as an artist is you're looking more, I'm more hypersensitive to taste.
Right. Yep. And being willing to, be vulnerable with those other artists, just like they're being with you, because, like you said, we are very different, and maybe the 3 or 4 or 5 other people that we're also doing some collaboration, we're all different. We all have a different idea, a different look, a different thought, everything. But if we're all being true to ourselves and true to the craft, well, then it's going to be fun. Like, whatever comes out of it, good or bad, the relationship building and just the community around it is going to be awesome. That's the biggest thing for me. And when we've been seeing that through Create Together and already have, a few things up in the air of like collaborating with other, artists in the area, and just, getting super excited about that it's working on stuff that's not mine, and I'm not going to get paid for it. It's truly like unreal, little artist collab.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hold that thought.
Okay.
I'm about to lose a thought that just came
All
to
right,
me.
go for it. Yeah.
I also wanted to get at, I was kind of touching on it, but didn't quite go there. But skating, knowing that when we were making videos and stuff like that, when I it started to become a job, and, the videos and stuff that I would make were getting me money for the companies that I was skating for and stuff like that. Basically, I saw a transition there. That was when I think that, it kind of really clicked for me that, art up until that point had always just given me happiness. enjoy it because we were just doing it for the love of it and doing all that. And then seeing that, okay, you can still give that stuff and make money off of it.
Right.
And now you're getting, when, you know, we're getting older and stuff like that. Now this is somewhat a job for me, but it's still I just need money nowadays to live because I'm not living with my parents.
Right.
But the fact that the feeling was the same is what makes me excited about filmmaking, you know?
Exactly. It's the childlike, imaginative, like
I'm just as rich without the money as like when I had no money or I wasn't making money as I am when I am making money.
So yeah, I think that brings up chasing the everlasting gobstopper. I just made that up. Chasing like the Willy Wonka feeling for the rest of our lives. We chose to do that. And again, not saying other people didn't choose to do that because people need to do all kinds of awesome jobs like doctors and lawyers and whatever, and police officers and military. But that is, I think, the artist lane is you're truly chasing kind of the Willy Wonka life that I'm just going to literally not give a fuck what people think. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to create my own world, and I'm going to be happy in it regardless. So, yeah, I think it's that Willy Wonka thing. I'm making candy, and I'm like a grown man. Well, that's kind of what we're doing, and that's what I think a lot of people can see it as is get a real job. No. I don't want a real job. I'm sorry. Like this, I want to do this. So this is why I do this because I love it. And well, that's my answer.
Well, that's the thing. I honestly think in my head, this is the only real job I've ever had because you want to know what? When you hear that word real job, what do you think of? Hard work.
Right.
Super dedicated. Like, you know, putting your everything on the line, things stop for it. This is the only thing and the only job that I've ever done that for. And it's 24/7. I'll drop everything it's
all the other jobs were just like in between. Like I just had to do it.
I go in, I hop on the field, and I put in the time until it's done.
Right.
And then you know what? I go home. I don't even think about it. If I do, I'm just pissed off that I did it. That I did that to myself that day. Whereas in filmmaking, dude, I'm not mad at myself, and I'm not saying I hate my job because I had a 16-hour day.
Right. You're just.
Or I'm not saying, oh, the office is falling apart. Like, oh, it's falling apart. I'm gonna come back and be like, yeah, we have these. It's challenging right now. I'm really having to think outside of the box creatively because we're having some issues on set, and I'm trying to figure it out before the next day. So when I go back on, I have a solution.
Right.
But that's what I'm creating more. So the issues are not. You get what I mean? Like, it's not so much. I mean, there are some. You know, more structure kind of thing, like, oh, the budget is holding us back. Of course,
yes.
But in most normal, like every day-to-day business, that's what people are pissed off about.
Right.
They're not paying me enough for this. I'm not, you know, I need to get more hours, you know, or like my vacation
There's a lot of
time,
bureaucracy,
like all that, like vacation time. I like this person, you know, they're taking longer lunches, or like they didn't get back on there. They weren't at this meeting. They weren't at that meeting. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't.
Bobby doesn't flush the toilet when he uses the company bathroom. Like
all of that, like, that stuff is what makes that bad. And in filmmaking, you know, you don't. It doesn't really happen.
You can just come home. Like,
I mean, it probably does for some people, but the people that happens for are the people who shouldn't be in it.
Right.
Because they're in it for something else.
That's true. Yeah.
It's like, but we love. Well, I personally know that filmmaking is why. I mean, this is what I landed on with all my creative endeavors. This is what I landed on because this is the thing that I love the process of the most.
Oh, dude, the process is Did we talk about the process before? Kind of, but the process is
whether good or bad. This is the one where it's not as painful as any other process or any other job has ever been. You get what I mean?
Right. Yeah, and I was gonna say it's also kind of looking at. You know, even if you think that you've made it to where you're comfortable and you're doing what you're doing and, you know, it's filmmaking or whatever it is, and it's a job, not like on our own, you never can settle. That's something else that I've definitely have learned from in my previous job was thinking it's the dream job. This is forever. But eventually like things changed and yes, will people compromise and make whatever it is fit for them because of the money and and health insurance and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, I'm not blaming those people. But for me, I couldn't do it. It was going against what my inner self was telling me. It was just against all my beliefs, just as an artist and a filmmaker, not as even. It was a totally separate thing being just a regular person and looking at what was happening. But as an artist, I just couldn't do it. There's no way. So I had to leave this job that I think a lot of people would say, oh, what? Well, you should have just stuck it. You should have stuck it out. I mean, it's a job.
Yeah.
Like a lot, but I wasn't willing to do that for the sake of my own mental health and the people around me, obviously. And I was not talking about giving everything back and with YouTube and this podcast and showing how the sausage is made and all of that. I couldn't do that and that was another part of it is that's inside of me too, as well as you, I think, is just you want to do as much as you can for fellow people like you and me.
Well, that's what makes you better at this job too, is because you at least gave that a shot.
Right.
Because there's also like, the people that don't go try that lame job ever, don't go try to like,
take a chance.
Be the work monkey. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And just,
Right. Like
do whatever, be on the assembly line and do, whatever you do in a company, you may actually love that stuff because really work is not making money, get promotions, all that kind of stuff. Work is getting good at a process.
Right.
Again, and if you don't love that process, some people love, it doesn't matter what they're in, as long as it's in a company structure, they're going to find a way to love the process. There are those people, you get what I mean? Like,
true.
And they act like they don't know, but it's like you like just love the structure, like that's what it is, just structure, period. That's actually the best place to be. I would love to be in a place like that.
Right, structure.
But for me, that only happens in art, you know what I mean?
Another thing to look at is, for us, we probably are going to do this for the rest of our life. We don't see ourselves changing careers, changing what we do. Yes, we're going to continue to grow and evolve and continue to master what it is that we're doing because technology is rapidly changing for us year to year to year. So we have to just stay just wide open to everything, which is awesome.
Well, the business aspect will change, but
what
we're doing is not.
But for other people, like my wife, who does, has a career, went to school, got multiple degrees, is now about to start her, master's program in a completely different career. And we're seeing that more and more now, I think, as people are living longer, having one, if not having two, sometimes even three careers in a lifetime. And that's just something that I've thought about that I won't have to consider because I would never settle for, I would never give it up because I did it when I was in my early 20s for a short amount of time and I was miserable. I was legit, but I wasn't recognizing that it was because of that. I thought it was because of X, Y, and Z. But really, at the end of the day, it's because I just wasn't doing it. I wasn't giving it a chance. I thought, no, I got to get this real job. I got to make some money. I'm going to get married, this, that, and the other. No, you cannot compromise with something that is just buried inside of you. You cannot compromise with it. It will chase you forever. So, meaning in a good way. So just let it happen and be who you are. Don't be what other people want you to be, and don't do what mom and dad want you to do. Don't do it. Don't, because you'll regret. You'll be like 80 years old. And you're like, oh man, like I don't know, worked at in the coal mine, whatever, and just, you try again. I know not for everybody. I know that is a difficult conversation. I know just coming out of my mouth, it sounds, whether it's pretentious or just like ignorant to think that way, that anybody can just do whatever, but you can.
Yeah. Well, I think I see nowadays so many people, like, it's cool to see people switching careers and stuff like that. Because what's happening with that is that the people that do that are accepting that, that first thing that they did that first little bit of their life when they're supposedly jumping into their career now, that they didn't find the right one.
Right.
You know what? I don't know, 20, 50 years ago, like our parents' generation, that there was an arrogance, a general arrogance about something like that. It's like whatever you did, you stayed. Once you got in, you stayed there until you retired, or you're screwing up. Like your life is not. You don't have it together.
Right.
And that was like taught. Like that was the whole idea. Yeah, if you got into something and you hated it, well, that's just what your life is.
Right.
It's going to be that way, and
because you're going to have family and kids and the dog and
because
a mortgage.
Retirement, aka money, you live it up. The whole idea is that you live it up once you retire. You have time for all that stuff once you retire.
Right. Well, what kind of bullshit is that? Like, exactly. I'm going to be old and then I can enjoy my life? No.
Exactly. So I also want to say is like, what I'm actually getting at with that is that we are just so privileged to have found what we actually want to do.
Right.
And be able to admit that to ourselves, even though it didn't look good per se, at a younger age, or earlier on. Whereas these other people, they're doing the same. They're making great decisions when they do make those business changes.
Right.
Like, I think, when I hear people doing that, honestly, like, I value everything about them so much more because again, there's so much, but that's what they're being so authentic.
Yeah, man. And they're going for it. I mean, like my wife is crazy. I mean, she's a dental hygienist. She went to school for 4 years and then she's been in that field for years and years and years and years and decided, I need to move on from this. I want to do more. She wants to help people and whatnot. Went back to school, got her bachelor's, now a master while working. I mean,
because that's what it took, though, right? It's what it takes for her, and the pursuit that she's going. She didn't necessarily have to go do that, right? To go back to school for just to get a job change, or to
right. I mean, change. I guess you're right.
The route she wanted to go, it didn't have to, and I think that's also another thing.
Right.
There's a lot of people too that don't know what they're doing, and they're just like, you know what? I'm gonna like kind of fake it out. And say I'm going to go into something else and go back to grad school and maybe I'll figure it all out then.
I know.
Or that then people will, I think that's the thing too. They're like, I'll be untouchable. Everybody will want me. I can get anything because I've got, all the requirements on paper.
Right.
You're not getting any further. You're just wasting money and everybody else's time for that think that you're passionate because you did all those things.
Right. Yeah. And I like to think, it probably just sounds like I'm building myself up, but I like to think that I've rubbed that off, whether it's on my wife or other people that
you have,
to take that risk and really not settle for. And we briefly mentioned this. I don't think we talked about this here, but I just shared kind of the brief story of my dad, that I look at my dad's story as something to look at and say, I'm obviously really happy he did what he did because that's why I'm here, but to not walk in the exact same footsteps because he, I think he had other aspirations, but then kind of fell into a certain job and has kind of from that generation as well and stuck it out. But along the way, it's because he had me and my sister and he had a family. And so he accepted, that's what it was. And, it wasn't a bad thing. Obviously, it was a great thing. But looking at that and saying, okay, what he did was great because he gave me an awesome life and my sister and, and taught me a lot of things. But I want to look at that and say, I'm going to do the complete opposite. I'm going to make sure that I do what I think that I was born to do, what I think that was given, this gift that was given to me, and not squander it or waste it. But again, not in like a bad way, not to say that, you can't do other things that you weren't meant to do, but
just speaking, because you were talking about your father. I mean, have you ever asked him if he has any, like, does he wish he had done anything else? Something different?
Yeah.
Maybe in a different, like say, having, you,
right.
Isn't in the picture or anything like that. Like no regret on like, oh yeah, well I had kids and I had to do all this stuff. Take all that out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's a tough one. I've probably asked him before, and if who knows if he's listening now.
When we're older, you know what our kids may ask us? You just made films your whole life?
That's true. They could.
You didn't switch a million times and do all this different and go get money in all these different areas?
That's true. Yeah. I mean, yeah, my dad definitely, I think he wanted to pursue a career in law enforcement. And he was also an artist. That's something that he does not talk about ever, but I've seen the proof. If he still has this little folder, he has this little one binder, old school folder.
Yeah.
And he had all these old papers, all these sheets of paper that were all these different drawings. And I don't believe that he did it, but he did do it. So he definitely, I definitely inherited some of the art from him. Sometimes I just think it's from my other side of the family. And then I think maybe I was just adopted. I have no idea. I think we all think, or we do have different aspirations, or we think we're going to do something else, and then something comes along. I mean, I thought that I would be making music, which I did for years and played. I just never really wanted to grasp the writing my own song thing. I was just too lazy. I'm like, that's not for me. But I thought I could do that. I could just play music and get a band together or something and play
and that's
cover songs.
It's a hobby because you don't have to go through the process of creating a song.
Exactly.
That's
I just learned songs.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter how good you are at playing covers.
No.
If you don't love the process of writing a song, then why go into that as a profession?
Exactly. It
doesn't make you that's going to make you hate it.
Right. Like the video thing.
The
guy that's
not art to you then.
Literally shooting talking head for his actual job and doesn't do anything else. That's all. That to me I'd rather watch paint dry. Like that's crazy to me. You might as well be a cashier at Trader Joe's or whatever. You'll get way more interaction with people. You have a way better time probably. So I feel for those people that they get warped into that cycle of.
Or there's a way to be there and just be like, you know what, I'm doing this. I'm gonna be crush it in all these different light setups. I'm gonna do different lighting every interview I do. I'm gonna make audio so different and do it with all these different. You know what I mean? There's also that way when where there's a will, there's a way.
Right.
But luckily in filmmaking, there's enough creative freedom.
Oh my gosh.
That you can do so many of the same things.
Right.
In a million different ways.
And understanding that when I'm editing or shooting, whether it's short, I'm kind of focusing something with YouTube that's mine, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm shooting things or editing, I don't always think about this, but you do have to understand that you're going to need to be ever changing with what you're doing. And that also is this constant, re-energizing feeling all the time. Like every video is different, or we start doing this podcast. Well, every conversation is different. Every edit is completely different. We have different positives and negatives, whether it's how we're setting up the lights or if we accidentally record it in 4K, whatever. I mean, the audio, everything, there's different variables.
We've not done this. We've not had the same light setup the whole time this has went.
Right. Different variables every time. And just never thinking of yourself as an expert or the professional. We are, sure, but we're never going to be perfect. We're always going to be searching for the next thing, looking for the next things or products or whatever, things that will help us enhance what we're doing, and really bring it all back home to telling the story, really. I mean, telling stories.
And that's also that's what makes it an art, because it's expressive. Like you're expressing different stuff each time you do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
The way you feel and about a certain project is probably going to dictate the way you're going to light it. Or the way that they want it to feel, all that kind of stuff too. But then you still, as a GP, they may say that, a client or somebody, they want, whoever you're working for, they may want you to light something a certain way. Mm-hmm. Again, you can achieve that probably 2 or 3 different ways.
Of course.
So there's still it's up to you to kind of what am I feeling today?
Right.
How do I feel? How we're going to achieve that today?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Whereas a lot of stuff, you can't do that. It's very freaking linear. Like a lot of professions and jobs. It's how are we going to, iron out the budget this year? It's the same way. You don't do budget. I mean, I guess you can do it different. Maybe it's,
Some people need that.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. There's a lot of people, they have to have that. And that works for them and it doesn't work for others.
And those are for the people where it's like the saying, I did it, is there where they get fuel.
Right.
Whereas like, again, like with me, it's that process, man. It's not so much, with what we're doing.
Yeah. Once it's done, that's it. I mean, once I like upload a video, I move on, man. I like to go back and watch them, but that's it, man. And it was an itch. I itched it. It's gone now. Where's the next itch?
But that's why, I don't know if that is for you, but it's harder to talk about your wins. Well, for me, it's hard for me to talk about like these crazy projects that I did for a client, you know what I mean? These brands. And sometimes people are like, yeah, when they ask you the question, like, have you done anything I would see, or, have you worked with anyone big, anyone famous and stuff like that? I'm excited I did the things I did and that I've had those experiences, but they're like floored when when I do end up kind of coming up with something like, hey, okay, yeah, this is who I worked with, this, that, and they're like puzzled that it took me that long to spit it out.
Right.
Because to me, those are not like my wins. Those creations are just as rewarding as the stuff that wasn't for famous people or for big brands.
Right.
So it's like, when people say, you're like, I have to like totally rethink stuff. You know what I mean? Like, right. You're pulling back like, okay, this project, like, cause they're all sort of the same thing. You know what I mean? Cause we were just talking about this with our wives the other day about like us, when we do come in contact with, celebrities, stars and stuff like that, we don't get so starstruck.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Yeah.
So that's
depends.
because
there's a few people, but yeah.
But it's our profession. You get it put in those scenarios and things like that. Like you don't have time to do. You're in it for the process. You're not in it to get things out of people. Right. You're there to give it to those people.
Exactly.
Like I'm not. Yeah. We were just talking. Yeah, I did the thing with Ed Sheeran, and I was like, everyone asked me, how is he? I was like, I don't know his like life story. Like I don't like.
You didn't go get a burger afterwards.
Have dinner.
Right?
Yeah. Like I was there to give him a product.
Right.
I was there to just make him feel comfortable, not ask him all these uncomfortable questions, And he was there the same way. We're just like, you're cool, I'm cool, we're cool.
Exactly.
Well, I see you. You see me. Let's create. Boom. When we get our job done.
And the people asking you that, did you ask them? They wouldn't even ask them that. So don't even. They'd get in that situation and freeze up probably. And because they, a lot of people put other people on pedestals and whatnot. And
because that stuff happens and they expect you to change.
Right. I'm like, these
when
are
you've
just regular
worked with people like that, and the next time they're like, oh, you're you're the big filmmaker now. Oh, you're the big guy now. You've been working all that. It's like. Honestly, same dude. Like it's the same process.
Right. These are just regular people.
Yeah.
Just like you and me. Their job is to be famous, pretty much, like to be on a big screen.
But that's what I mean. The whole famous thing, I don't really think about until after when somebody tells me, "Hey, you should brag about that stuff." Right. Basically, like tell me what you've done, and it's like, oh yeah, okay. But in the like when you're actually there, so I'm not sitting there thinking like, oh my gosh, this person's famous. Like they've done so many crazy things. Like, right. I got to do something so they remember me. Like,
exactly. No, I don't do that at all.
No,
not at all. No. God, what was I going to say?
Because you'll just implode creatively if you do that.
Oh, of course.
When you get excited there, your thoughts go straight out. You have too much to think about. You'll lose it all if you get starstruck.
Yeah, and usually on the other end, I mean, if I was ever at that level, I would want the same type of person to come up to me, just a regular dude or regular lady, just act normal, just be who you are. But hopefully that never happens. So I'll just become like a recluse, or I'll grow like my hair really long again or something. No one will recognize me or something. But yeah.
Do you feel like we were talking about school and whatnot. Do you ever feel like you would, go to film school just for the sake of doing it, saying you did it?
So again, to reference the almighty,
like not to get anything out of it. Just to I mean, it's like to get, just say you did it really.
Yeah. To reference my story and just, I think, thinking that everything happened for a reason. I had that opportunity when I was coming out of high school to go to Full Sail in Orlando,
Mm-hmm.
film school, film major, whatever. But I was in a relationship at the time. I was in a completely different place than
I'm just like,
yeah, no, I mean, it really was. It was like, no, I'm not going to go to Orlando because I got stuff going on here, which I didn't really. And I said no, went to community college, didn't even finish that. Looking back, I don't regret it because if I would have made that one different decision, well, I just know for a fact that would have dominoed to God knows where. I have no idea. Who knows? I'm there for a year and a half. I finished film school, and who knows? Do I go to LA and somehow, because Full Sail plugs people into a lot of jobs, maybe I am somewhere else. I don't meet my wife. I don't move here. I don't meet you. I mean, I would never regret not going. But as far as the future, I don't think so. I just don't. I'm definitely a huge advocate for school, of course. People, if it makes sense, though. Yeah. If they can do it and not be financially burdened, if they can do it and it's actually going to progress what they're doing. That's why I've mentioned to people 10 years younger than me that are doing filmmaking, video or photography, whatever. I say, hey man, if you're going to go to school, get a business degree because that's going to benefit you way more than going to school for 2 years and learning how to use Photoshop or Premiere. You can do that on your own, and you probably already are. You don't need to be the coffee boy for 2 years at Full Sail and do whatever they want you to do. You don't need that. Go learn something that's really tangible in what we do, and that is the opposite. The other end of it is the business end, or a communications, something that helps come alongside what you're doing. And that also goes with that kind of career change, because if we are filmmakers and maybe you get to the point where, I don't know, like I want to be the head of some media some that already exists. I don't know, maybe they require you to have, some sort of degree. Most of the time that's not the case with what we do, because it definitely goes more off of, what they've seen, what we can actually do.
Exactly.
But yeah, I encourage people to, if they can go to school and not come out with like 6-figure debt, do it. But that's just that whole other conversation of just that system is so rigged and so, especially for artists, it's not worth it if you're really an artist and you have the wherewithal to be able to do it, not going to school and getting a piece of paper so that you can like get clients. It's just different, if you're a doctor, whatever other, yes, of course, government jobs and you need it. You definitely need to do it. But I don't think, do you see yourself ever?
So that's funny. So I know that I wouldn't be doing, I'd be in the same place right now if I went to film school or not. Because you want to know why? I hire kids that went to film school all the time. They end up working for me, and that's freaking weird. Right. But they like and they're usually sitting there asking me stuff that it's like it blows my mind. They're out of film school with a degree and they don't know what the heck I'm talking about.
Because they're coffee runners, man. They're not really doing stuff.
So it's one of those where like, I would have been here without it, or even with it, I would still be in the same spot. But these kids, these different people, like that validates it for me that like, okay, it's still you. You either are going to make it or not when it comes to filmmaking, whether you have film school or not.
Exactly. Because the technology today, it's too easy for us to, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, would I have said the same thing? Probably not. If I was the same age in the 80s or the 90s, I probably would have said, no, you got to go to film school or you got to move to Hollywood. Like you have to, or New York or whatever. Now, I mean, no.
The only thing I lack sometimes that, obviously you can tell somebody who's come straight out of film school and somebody who's not, is some of the terminology I don't necessarily, when I'm trying to explain something, I'm not going to use the term so much because again, it's just like, I don't think like that.
Right. And another huge aspect is the fact that the movie industry, like Hollywood, pretty much what a lot of people, when they go to film school, that I think is the big picture for them, is hopefully one day working, on some huge show or movie. And that already right there separates everyone, because now, okay, you want to be a director? Well, that's a director. Or you're going to be the gaffer? You're the guy, or the sound guy.
Yeah.
We do all of those things, and we enjoy every aspect of it. That's the difference. I've worked with people who literally just direct. They don't even want to hold the camera. They don't want to know how to edit. They don't want to know about any of the other stuff.
Or half the time, they don't even know what camera, whatever they're producing.
They don't care. They don't even care. And that
Yeah.
blows my mind, obviously. But it's also a really cool thing, because then they do give it up to the crew and whoever it is. Like, you want to be the DP, you're going to be the sound. And it's kind of handed off to those people to be trusted. But
to go into it, that's why I know the term. I've taken the time to learn all those things so that I know what I am doing now. But again, that's what I'm saying is, like, I am not critical of myself on set to be like, oh no, I didn't use the correct terminology.
Yeah, whoopie do.
I just,
The English language is broken as it is. Who cares?
Exactly. So, that's, but it's important to know those things, because that's the thing, we also, you and I both get hired out for different things. You can get hired out to be a DP. Right. But another bigger production, but you need to know what a DP is, right?
Right.
It doesn't matter how good you are, but you need to know what it is, so they know what you're talking about. You know what that role is, so that you don't go in and start trying to direct.
Exactly.
If you're hired to be a DP,
right? Just
that's
tell
the
me
only
what to
thing.
Do.
That's the only reason those terms make that. That's the only thing those do for me.
Right.
But when it comes down to actually my sets and stuff like that,
doesn't matter.
Those don't matter.
Right. Well, if you're running the set, it only matters what you're saying.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Right. And
but. Yeah, and I'm also not gonna tell myself I can't go do. I need to stay in some role too, and not. I'm gonna go do whatever. But anyway, I going into school, I think it's weird. On some days I would be like, I think at the end of it all, before I quote unquote retire, which I don't think will ever really happen, because what I'm doing is like, this is. Like, I probably will get to the point where I can retire, yes, but actually just doing it to be like, okay, cash in, give me my money now, and that's like just, I don't really see that so much. Like, I don't know. I'm not really living for, the retirement will be there, but you know what I mean? Like, this career is not so much I'm working for the retirement.
And we live in a pretty shitty time.
I'm working to have a retirement,
right.
I'm not working for the retirement.
Right.
Okay, so, but I almost at the end want to do it just so I can laugh, I think, at everyone who thought I couldn't do it without a film degree, and be like, I did it all without a film degree, and I still got the film degree, just to prove that it didn't make me any better.
Do it when you're older, like
like kind of like as like a
wait, what is it? What people do?
Continuing education.
Yeah,
I don't know,
they get to go for free and just like go.
Like, I want to be that guy. Like, I want to be that guy, and just but to also just spread the wisdom to the kids that are maybe in there and are wasting stuff, and not to go in there and be. To totally derail it,
right?
But to just show that side too, be like, I did it without it, but this is fun, right, you guys?
But some people,
we are learning things that I didn't learn. That's why I'm here too, because there are things, there's some, theories and different things like that I've learned probably through watching stuff, but I couldn't define it or something like that. So there are those things,
and the structure to go back to people who need a certain job and a certain Monday through Friday. Yeah. So as film school, some people need the structure to really be able to learn all of those things, because we all just take information in so much differently. Some people could watch Skillshare videos all day and learn how to use After Effects in like a week. I'm not that guy, but some people can do that. Others need to go to school for it and sit in front of a teacher or whatever it is. So
exactly.
We're all so much different. But
this was great, man.
We do what we do because we love what we do, and we do it because of that, and that's why we do it. So we do it, and then we'll do it some more. I'm just rambling. So cool. Yeah, cool episode. The Create Together podcast. This was like the 7th episode. Woo. How many are we gonna do? Do we put a limit on it? Like
no, we're
1,000?
We're going forever, man.
Oh my god,
we're rolling strong. Yeah, forever.
Wow. All right, well,
we're riding till the brakes fall off.
Hope you enjoyed it, and
or we get kicked off of one of these platforms.
Yeah, they probably will. I did say the F word, so they might Sorry, Mom. He's like, cool.
Come to the Create Together DC, like the actual meetup, you guys.
Yeah. Follow at Create
Come
Together
on.
DC.
Yes.
We don't have a date set for the one yet.
We
but
want
we
to talk
will.
to you guys. We want to hang out, make stuff. Like,
For sure.
come out.
For sure.
I'm telling you. Everyone who says, I want to make it out to the next one, I'll believe it when I see you guys. Because we really want you there.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for
Going up.
listening.
Yes.
And we'll see you next week, I guess.
All right. Peace.